Hi, welcome to the third video in this series about installing and configuring the ingestion monitoring software. So we've now got to a stage where we have the connectors visible. We've discovered those. We've added a file system framework, a metastore, an additional file system framework on a alternative machine, and also a exchange framework. Um, the connectors are scanning every 20 seconds, and that interval can be changed to suit your particular environment. But the framework metastore are scanning every 3 minutes, but we've configured an event handler so that each of the metastore or framework components are automatically sending the application a message with regards to any tasks which are started or finishing. So the next stage really is to configure or to discover the content engine, so the idle components which are adding the information for allowing us to perform the necessary searches and analytics. So to add the content engines, we again go under the configuration tab, and inside the configuration tab at the very bottom we will see an option of adding the idle components. So at the very bottom we have the facility to basically describe where our idle components have been installed. So we're interested in configuring the idle service, or actually telling the application where the idle service is. So again, we need to enter the server name. From the drop-down box, select the component. Either are we configuring the distributed connector or the idle component. In our case, it's the idle component, and then the associated address. So 9,000 in our case. We can then add. So again, we're adding some information to the configuration file, and then I'm going to exit to restart the application in a consistent and orderly fashion. And again, as you probably recall, the shutdown is a 6-stage process where we're basically issuing commands to terminate the background monitoring processes that are part of the ingestion monitoring suite. So we've shut down, we're now going to restart. And I'm going to just maximize the window. So what we've got discovered now added to our configuration are the two content engines. We happen to have two content engines deployed within our control point environment. And you will see a very similar display to what we discovered for the connectors and also for the frameworks. We have the server name, the ports, the estimated amount of time before all the jobs have been processed by this particular component, the number of documents that have been indexed, a fragmentation level, and any jobs that may be in a pending or a queued state. And again, lastly at the bottom is a scan interval or a refresh period. What we've also included for the content engines was a disk report. So by selecting the tab, we break down and give you a representation of the files that make up the idle database and where those particular files reside. It's really important that we ensure that there is always sufficient capacity for the idle components to extend. You really do not want to have a space issue around the idle components, the idle database components. So for example, here if we select dime term is occupying in our particular environment just over 3 gigs, and it resides on the C drive, and the C drive has 53 gigabytes of space available. So although obviously the C drive has 53 in total, all our components just happen to be installed on the C drive. In a production environment, we will probably find that these files are spread across multiple spindles. So it basically gives us a way of very easily identifying that we do have sufficient capacity available for our system to expand. Obviously, having two content engines, they each have their own files and their own, occupy their own space. So again, it's really important that we keep a close eye and monitor the space requirements required by the idle process. So that really finishes this particular video about adding the content engines. Thank you very much.